Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Kate and I will be your instructor for this fall's Gender and Women's Studies 220 course, Introduction to Transgender Studies. I'm really excited about this class. It's only the second time it's been taught at UMBC, and we are going to figure out what we're doing as we go along, and I think we're going to have a great class. We aren't meeting in person today, but I did want to drop in and show you my face and that I am a real person and that we are going to have a real class. And I also wanted to go over some highlights from the syllabus just to orient you a little bit for the semester. So this course is a 200 level class. I will run it though as a kind of seminar. So it will depend entirely on, the success of the class will depend entirely on your preparation, on you doing the reading and coming to class prepared to discuss the material. We will begin the class with the discussion of transgender history. We're starting with Susan Stryker's book. There's a new edition out just this year, so make sure you have the one with the 3 color stripes on the front. That's the newest edition, and there's a new chapter in the book that we'll be reading. So if you look at the syllabus, you'll see under the course readings, you'll see that we're starting next Wednesday. Please come to class having read the introduction and chapter 1, and we're going to start there and work our way through her book. And it's a really fascinating book that situates transgender studies as something that's not a contemporary, it's not something that happens in the contemporary moment. The transgender history extends deep into our past and continues to change in the present and future. So we're going to start there. You'll notice some readings on the syllabus are labeled BB, and they're on Blackboard. So if you go and look under course readings or course materials on Blackboard, they'll be listed there. We are going to read a few pieces by some of the early sexologists who were the first to thematize or theorize trans identity. And they didn't use that term or that idea of transgender. And some of the things you'll read in those historical documents are from a contemporary perspective, and sometimes a little offensive. But I want us to get some sense of the way that people wrote and first thought about and thematized transgender identity. So we're going to take a look at some of those initial historical documents. So that's our first unit of the course. In the second unit is called Telling Transgender Stories, and here we're much of sort of contemporary discussion of transgender identity is around the sort of self-narrative and the stories that we tell about our own gendered identities. And I want us to examine some different ways of telling those stories. So we'll start with a couple of different books. One nonfiction and one fiction. One's a memoir and one's a fiction book, and then do some listening to some podcast interviews with trans artists, particularly trans artists of color. So in this section, I think we'll get a good sort of exposure to some of the multiple ways that we can tell stories about ourselves, and in so doing, make new ways of being as gendered people in the world. The final unit of the course looks at politics, and we'll do a couple of case studies looking at the way that transgender as a sort of a category intersects with state policies around things like who gets to use which bathroom and where, and also how the state security apparatus operates and how dependent it is on notions of binary gender. And if you don't know what I mean by that, don't worry, you will. Depends on those notions of binary gender and how transgender people and transgender bodies challenge some of those conceptions. And then we'll end with a couple of pieces that offer a kind of revolutionary view of trans politics as sort of building a different kind of world. So, and sort of expand into different realms of politics. So I'll leave it at that, and I don't want any spoilers. So that's what we're going to learn this semester, and I think we're going to have a great time. I'm really excited to read these books with you. Keep in mind as you look over the syllabus that we're reading a number of full books, right? So if you need extra time with reading, put that memoir next to your bed and make that your nighttime reading, just so that you sort of can keep up. A couple of suggestions as you begin your reading. First, I would suggest looking over the exams or the essay. So each unit you'll do a sort of written assignment at the end to go through, to sort of break down what you've learned. I would suggest looking at those assignments before you start the reading for the unit. That will help guide your reading and your note taking, and particularly for the first exam will help you know which terms and concepts to really key into when you're reading. So that would be one suggestion. Also, you'll see that we're doing a group research project. I know some of you right now are like, oh no, she's making us do a group project. I know, it's scary, but I've organized it so that the group research can be done almost entirely in class. So we'll meet with a librarian in October. You'll have assigned group work days in class where and I know, and the reason I do it like this, because I know it's hard to find a time when people can meet, but I know you all have 1 to 2:15 on Mondays and Wednesdays open. So that's when you'll do your group work, and we'll end the semester with presentations about what we've learned. I'm hoping that in the first unit we all get a sort of real visceral sense of how important and vital it is to do history, right? To know that we come from somewhere, that we have roots, and that we all in our research get to do a little history ourselves and contribute to the building and growing archive in transgender studies. So I think that's really exciting, and I hope you will think that as well. A couple nuts and bolts things. You'll see at the top of the syllabus my name. My office hours are Mondays and Wednesdays from 9 to 10, but I'm around lots of times on campus. So if those hours don't work for you, just send me an email and we can set up another time to meet. I'm also available over email very regularly, though I don't answer emails on weekends. So keep that in mind as you're sort of working through the syllabus. Let's see, what else? Oh, attendance. Please come to class. We really are going to be a learning community. It's going to be a slightly smaller class than we normally have in gender and women's studies, and that's an opportunity for us all to really learn together, and it works best if we're all present. You will miss class sometimes because things come up, and that is completely understandable. You do not need to contact me and let me know. Just get notes from a peer, and we'll exchange peer info next when we meet in person. But you don't need to tell me. The attendance policy and the rest of the details are on the syllabus. Accommodations, really important. If you need accommodations for this class, please contact the Office of Student Disability Services. Their information is on the syllabus as well under accommodations. And they will let me know what you need to have complete and fair access to the class. If you need accommodations but you don't have the sort of official documentation or something, please just send me an email and talk to me about what you need. It's really a priority for me that everybody have complete and equitable access to the course. Finally, you'll see on the syllabus that some information about how to change names on My UMBC, and I just wanted to add this especially for first-year students who might not know that your legal name, if you use another name, you can actually change that in My UMBC, and the instructions on how to do that are in the syllabus. And that if your name is not your legal name, this can be a way to make sure that you get the right name on those class rosters and things like that. So I think those are all of my sort of nuts and bolts things before we meet in person. When we do meet in person, we'll start with some introductions so that I can meet all of you like you've met me, and also just go over a couple of things as a class. So be thinking for next time about what you think our cell phone and computer policy should be, if we should have one at all, and also be ready to share your information with some peers so that you have some peer resource connections just in case you miss class. In the meantime, go buy Transgender History, buy or copy or read at the library. All books are on reserve. and get ready to delve into this exciting and new field of study. I'm really glad you're here.